Well, let's get into this scenario. What does it look like if we're hit?
A nuclear bomb explodes with a flash of light, of X-ray light, that is so powerful and hot, it is impossible to comprehend. It is 180 million degrees. That's the temperature at the center of the sun times 5.
Really?
Times 5. And so the thermonuclear flash sets everything on fire. Depending on the size of the bomb, in the scenario that I write, it's 3 miles out.
Is that a fact? Is that the biggest?
Yes. That's not the biggest bomb, but that is a fact. And so, by the way, like when I write about these horrific details about what happens to people in third-degree burns and wind ripping skin off people's faces, 9 miles out, limbs being ripped off, the sucking motion that happens, the blast wave that's like a bulldozer, the buildings that come down. When I write all those details, those are not out of Annie Jacobsen's imagination. Those are sourced from a primary document called The Effects of Nuclear Weapons, which is a 600 and some odd page book. It's also called Army Pamphlet number 50-9, if I'm remembering correctly. And that began with the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. The effects of nuclear weapons on buildings and people. And as the tests were done, we conducted atmospheric tests in the Pacific and also in Nevada at the test site. As the tests were done, defense scientists were constantly measuring the effects that nuclear weapons have on things and people. And the people substitutes were animals. And they measured these with a specificity that's just stunning. And that's a polite word for gruesome. And I use those details in the book, and I source them again in notes. So, then you get to learn as a reader, oh, wait a minute, how does the Pentagon know that a pine needle will catch on fire 6 miles out from ground zero? Spontaneously combust and start more fires. Oh, because these have been studied.
6 miles out. So does that mean the blast radius of the flash can be up to 6 miles?
The people can go blind up to 50 miles out if they're looking in the direction of the bomb.
50 miles?
50. And the way we know, the Defense Department would put rabbits in cages and fly them, 50 miles out from this bomb and put their, it's very Clockwork Orange to determine the effects on the retina. A 1 megaton bomb that I have hit the Pentagon, and I use the Pentagon as a target, by the way. Again, that's not just because it's my imagination, but because many people that I interviewed told me that a bolt out of the blue attack against Washington is what Washington fears most. And so a 1 megaton bomb that detonates over the Pentagon creates a ball of fire, pure fire, that is 5,700 feet in diameter. That's a little over a mile. Again, like the specificity of these numbers are from defense scientists. A ball of fire. So nothing remains. Not a cricket. No cellular life in that. And then you have this blast wave. It's called a steeply fronted blast wave. And it pushes out and it bulldozes down, metaphorically. All physical bridges go down, stone splits apart, steel, lead melts. 10 miles out, streets become like molten lava. So if you survived, you're suddenly, sucked into a lava street. Third-degree burns on everyone. Anyone in a subway is going to die. If they're, 10 miles out, they're going to die of asphyxiation.
So would 10 miles be the, let's talk immediate death. 10 miles?
Well, there's like 3 rings that I write about specifically, in their diameters, and they go out up to the Washington D.C. Zoo is kind of the edge where all the animals, have their skin hanging off of them. Sorry, it's dark. It's true. And so then you have to think about, you have all these people dead, all these people now that are far out, as far as 10 miles out with 3rd-degree burns, 4th-degree burns. Did you even know there was such a thing as a 4th-degree burns? 3rd-degree burns require a specialized bed. There are like 10 in Washington, and they've now all been obliterated in this scenario. People die of, blood loss. Imagine the projectiles from this. There are several 100-mile-an-hour winds accompanying that steeply fronted blast wave. The buildings topple over and become rubble. We haven't even spoken of the fact that no first responder can go in there for 72 hours. By then, the world's over. The situation I write in appalling detail because I want you to see how horrific. You would hope you were inside the fireball, because the further out you are, the worse it is. When you think about this, the mushroom cloud that we've all seen, right? That mushroom stem and the cloud is made up of the remnants of people who have turned into combusting carbon. That is the detritus of civilization. That's just one nuclear bomb. So people get to see that every nuclear weapon is really a mass extinction weapon. Because when you consider we're talking about the ring out 10 miles out. What will then, because all these fires have started now from the flash, the situation becomes a mesocyclone of fire, is how it's described. There, in a matter of minutes or hours, there will be 100-mile radius of fire burning, because there's no first responders in a nuclear attack. I learned this from Obama's FEMA director, a guy called Craig Fugate, who did all these on-the-record interviews with me and described to me how horrific a nuclear war. He was so candid. I went back, are you sure you said this, 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 and this? It's quoted in the book, that he said that FEMA does something called population protection planning. So earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, when these happen, FEMA's at the ready to help the people. Population protection planning. And Fugate said to me, after a nuclear strike, there is no population protection planning because everyone will be dead. You're on your own. I said, what do you suggest people do? And he said, hope that you stocked Pedialyte and don't forget your morals. That kind of candor from that level of an individual made me realize people leave office and become civilians again, become parents again and grandparents and estimate, and they suddenly realize nuclear war is insane. We cannot have a nuclear war.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.